And one of the guys asked the other guy, do you want to run it more than once? Now, they both know that it's sort of against the rules in the casino. So the guy with top set says, well, okay, it's a big pot. We can run it twice or whatever, right? They run it the first time and the guy with the draw hits. And then when the dealer goes to run the second river, the guy who hit the draw says, well, what are you doing? You're only allowed to run it once. Can't run it twice. I hope you enjoyed that little brief look into what CLP version 2 is going to look like. That launch date is set to hit on January 1st, 2021. And if you're watching this on Monday, November 30th, take advantage of our annual Cyber Monday promotion. You can get 50% off your subscription for lifetime. Check out the details in the description. I have four quick stories and the first one is really where I wanted to talk about, and I wish I had put it in this original video, but it's an extreme example of how running it more than once means nothing in terms of it doesn't change the EV. So about 2 years ago, and I did an entire podcast on this a couple of years ago, and for people that are CLP subscribers, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'll put the link of what I'm talking about. I'll put the link to the podcast. I'll make it open. I'll make it free in the YouTube video that will come out for this so that you can listen to the entire podcast. About 2 years ago, I was playing on live the bike and I was sitting next to Harry, and there was a hand that went down between Harry and Chris. Okay. I don't specifically remember the exact details, but I have it pretty close. I'm sitting at the table. I'm playing in the game. Like, I'm in seat 9. Harry's in seat 8. Okay. And basically him and Chris, the skinny Asian guy, they get it all in on a flop. I think the flop was something like 9-6 deuce, something like that, something raggedy, okay? Harry had something like top pair. He had top pair, like nine. Let's say he had like 9-7, okay? And Chris had middle set. So 9-6 deuce, and I think that there were two clubs. There was definitely a 2 flush out there. So it was like 9-6 deuce with 2 clubs. Harry has like 9-7 with a club in his hand. Chris has middle set. So they get all in. I think Harry bets, Chris check raises, Harry moves all in, Chris calls, or whatever, right? And Chris goes to Harry, do you want to run it 3 times? He's like, 3 times, Harry? 3 times, Harry? Right? And Harry's like, yeah, I'll run it 3 times. Wait. Then Harry goes, no, wait. What do you have? Right? So Chris tables his hand. So Harry said, yes, I'll run it 3 times. Chris tables his hand. Shows a set of 6s, right? And Harry goes, oh, you have a set? Wait a minute. Just once. And I just want to interject here for a second. The reason why he just wanted to run it once when he saw Chris had a set is because he thought that there was, no way that he was going to win it 2 or 3 times. So he wanted to gamble and try to scoop the whole pot. Now, what was interesting about this is that it happened so quickly. Right before the card was revealed, remember, they got it in all on the flop, right? So right before the card was revealed on the turn, Harry said, no, I'll just want to run it once. So Harry had agreed to run it 3 times. But then after he saw the hands revealed, he said, no, I change it. I only want to run it once. Well, obviously middle set against top pair is, 95%, 96%, something like that. And I wouldn't be telling this story. Of course, you guys know what must have happened. Turns a club, river's a club. Harry makes a backdoor flush and he wins the hand. So he's changed it from running it 3 times to running it 1 time. And all sort of hell, right, broke loose. Now, I'm here to tell, and by the way, I went back and looked at it at the time because there was a question of whether or not it could have been possible that Harry had possibly seen the turn card, in which case, obviously, that wouldn't have been kosher, because if he had seen the turn card that was a club, then he's basically free rolling, right? And I don't believe that he saw it. But the uproar from people, say like in the live chat, people talking about it, demonstrates how people do not understand running it more than once. The fact that Harry changed the agreement from running it 3 times to running it 1 time after he saw the hands means absolutely nothing. The EV didn't change whatsoever. It makes no difference. There were literally people that thought that Harry was the biggest cheater in the world, that he angled Chris, that he should never be on Live at the Bike again. And again, it goes to show you, those people don't understand running it more than once because it makes no difference. Then I'd have people that were like, well, Harry was angling because he had perceived value. He thought that there was perceived edge. It was a perceived angle. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Perceived angle? Well, he perceived it to be to his advantage, therefore he was angling. So what are we living in the same world here? Now, what else is interesting? You guys know how low I think of sort of casino management and stuff like that. So what ended up happening was that Harry won the pot. Chris complained to the management, and I'm 99% certain that the casino paid Chris out on like 2/3 of the pot what he should have won. And that decision to me is absolutely baffling. It just goes to show you that whoever made that decision has no concept of running it more than once either. How could you possibly pay out Chris when Harry changed his mind about running it more than once before the card came out? They changed it from 3 to 1. It doesn't. There's no equity swap. It was bizarre to me. But again, going back to that was a very, very extreme example that I wish I had added to that video, that it made no difference. Oh yeah, let me see what it was a live chat going crazy, something like that. Oh, okay, this is a great example. Fraught with Peril says that's, by the way, for the people on the YouTube, I'm doing this in the live stream. Fraught with Peril says that's like saying raise and then saying, oh, never mind, I called. No, it's not like saying that at all. It's the exact opposite of that. It's so far from saying that. And people made that argument too, that they're like, Harry changing his mind between running it 3 times and running it once is like he's saying, I call the river. But no, then when I saw the hand, I fold. It's nothing like that. Nothing. It's not even close to that. So example number 2 is there was a period of time at Commerce when at Commerce when they didn't allow it running more than once. So they way back when in 2004, 2005, they allowed you to run it more than once. Then they stopped it. Usually they end up stopping it for a period of time because there's a big incident. And that's exactly what happened after Harry's thing. They stopped allowing you to run it more than once, and then they brought it back after a bunch of people complained, because these things aren't like in the law or in the rules. It's sort of like it's an agreement amongst the players. So the casino feels like they don't have like a recourse in trying to, mitigate these types of things when there's an issue. So at this time, this was like in 2006, Commerce was not allowing it running it more than once. And the 2 guys I know got into a pot, and they both knew that you weren't allowed to run it more than once. But the pot got really, really big. One of the guys had top set, and the other guy had some sort of combo draw. Maybe the pot was like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, something like that, like in a 10-20 game. It was a really, really big pot, okay? So they get it all in. I think it was on the turn. And one of the guys asked the other guy, do you want to run it more than once? Now, they both know that it's sort of against the rules in the casino. So the guy with top set says, well, okay, it's a big pot. We can run it twice or whatever, right? So they run it the first time, and the guy with the draw hits. And then when the dealer goes to run the second river, the guy who hit the draw says, well, what are you doing? You're only allowed to run it once. You can't run it twice. You only run it once. You can't run it twice, right? So, oh boy, here we go, right? What's going to happen here now? Biggest scumbag in the world, right? Over there. And by the way, that guy wasn't even known for being a scumbag, but he pulled that shit. Now, I had heard about this. I actually wasn't at the table, but this was when I was regularly playing at Commerce 1020. So, and to give Commerce credit, the casino manager came out, or whoever was there to make the decision, walked out to the table and he said, by the way, they did run the second one out and it would have been a chop. So the guy's like, we don't allow running it twice. So the manager comes out, we don't allow running it twice, right? So the guy thinks he's going to win. But the manager's like, but it's a gentleman's game. Like a little Persian accent or Armenian. It's a gentleman's game. It's a gentleman's game, right? And I will give Commerce credit for this. They ruled that it was a chop pot. They ruled that it was a chop pot because the players agreed to run it twice, even though it was technically against their rules. And I think that was absolutely the correct answer. But you have to understand that when you are running it more than once, a lot of times this is not in the casino's rules. And I would say don't run it more than once with someone you don't know, because you could easily be getting free rolled against, okay? That's story number 2. Story number 3, which one do I want to go into? Okay, so story number 3, actually, no, I'll keep that for the end. Story number 3 was something that benefited me. And I actually had no idea what was going on because I don't play a ton of PLO. And this is what happened. And this is something that still might actually happen if people don't understand how running it more than once can affect the hand. So in order for you to be able to run it multi-way more than once, I'm talking about more than 2 people. So let's say that 3 people are in the hand and you want to run it more than once. If you want to make sure that the equities remain the same, all the players that are involved in the main pot, all the players that are involved in all the pots have to agree to run it more than once. And this is what I'm talking about. And this is what happened to me. Let's say that there's a short stack in the hand. You're 3 people. There's a short stack in the hand. They get it all in with 2 other people. And the shorts, let's say, and this is exactly what happened. So get into a situation in PLO where I end up having middle set. Guy who is a short stack, he had like $500. Okay. He had top set. Me and this other guy, we had like 3,000. I have middle set. This other guy has a huge draw. So it's short stack, top set. I have middle set. Other guy's got a huge draw. Okay. This guy doesn't want to run it. The short stack never runs it more than once. Okay. But we say to each other, well, we'll run everything twice. Fuck this guy. Fuck the short stack, right? We'll run everything twice. Okay. That should be against the rules because someone will have their equity taken away from them. And what I mean by that is this is what happened. So I've got middle set. The short stack is all in. He doesn't want to run it, but we say we'll run everything twice. What ends up happening is that on the first run, we've said we're running everything twice. We're running the side and the main. The issue here is that we can't run the main pot more than once between the 2 of us if this other guy doesn't agree to run the pot more than once. All players in the pots that they are involved with, all the players have to agree to run it more than once. We could run the side pot twice. This guy's not involved, but we can't chop the main. What ends up happening, of course, is that this guy makes the draw on the first run. So the short stack's dead because he's out. He's not running more than once. So he makes the draw on the first run. He bricks on the second run. So what ends up happening is that we chop the side and we chop the main too. So how the fuck did I get half of the main with middle set against top set against a draw? It wasn't supposed to happen that way. I didn't know about it. I didn't realize it until after the fact. That main pot, in whose equity actually got taken away, it was actually my opponent's equity. He should have won all of the pot from the main pot. So if you're ever in a situation where you're running it with more than 2 people, all parties have to agree to run the main basically, if you want to chop it up correctly. And I remember talking to somebody at the World Series, Jesse Martin. So Jesse Martin, I was telling Jesse Martin about this. He's like, oh, wow, like we do this in this scenario in no limit deuce. So they play like a lot of rotation games in the big high stakes games at the World Series. And you can run it twice in no limit deuce. Of course, deuce to 7, no limit, the Cadillac of poker, single draw. Well, I mean, you could get it all in after the deal, and maybe one guy's drawing and one guy's pat, and you run it twice. Same concept as no limit. Same thing as two rivers, right? Like the guy, you're going to chop the pot in half, and he's going to get the first draw, and then he'll get the second draw, right? So they've done that. And he was saying that there are certain guys in the game where they never run it. And that exact scenario will apply where if you're up against, say, 3 people, if you're in with 3 people and the short stack doesn't want to run it, and now you've got 2 guys over here with a lot of money that have big side pots, they're not supposed to be able to run the main more than once in deuce, in that no limit deuce scenario, because one of those guys is going to have their equity being taken away. It's the exact same scenario. So remember that when running it more than once. All right. The last story is that when I was in Foxwoods in 2006 or 2007, one of my first poker road gigs, they were playing a huge no limit. I mean, games back then were really, really crazy, like just crazy. And there were 2 guys. One guy, I think his name was Matt Gianetti, and his nickname was Matt Hazard. And this other guy, his name was Chris, and I can't remember his last name. He is like very, very like common in the poker world, the LA scene, plays super high stakes. He's jacked. He's probably like in his late 40s now, so he was always older than me. And he played super high no limit. He played on Live with the Bike. Then he's moved over to PLO. He's been playing for a long time. I can't remember his name. But anyways, they're playing at Foxwoods. I don't even know the size of the game. This guy, Chris, this jack guy, he always has everybody covered. And they had been playing for like a week. And they had been running the cards more than once, like in these big games. And apparently Foxwoods at that time, they had no idea like even what running it more than once was, right? Like they didn't even know what running it more than once was, but they I think they didn't know that the players were doing it, but they certainly had no clue what it was. So I don't know. It got brought to the attention of the floor manager at some point that these guys were running it, or actually not the floor manager, like the lead at Foxwoods, that these guys were running it like more than once. And so this hand goes down. It's probably like a 50K pot where this guy, Chris, he's got an overpair. He's got like kings, and the board is like 8-7 deuce. No, it's actually, I remember the specific hand. So it must have been 8-6 deuce. And I wonder if one of these guys will pop in here when this video goes up on YouTube. It's like 8-6 deuce. 8-6 deuce rainbow. And one guy's got kings. This guy, Chris, has kings, and he played it post-flop. He didn't c-bet the flop. It's like a 3-bet pot. He didn't c-bet the flop. It's like 8-6 deuce, but he check-raised the flop. And this other guy, Matt Hazards, he has like 9-7 of diamonds. It's 8-6 deuce. There's one diamond out there. So this guy checks kings, Matt bets, whatever. This guy check raises, and Matt Hazards jams 9-7. So he's got open-ended with a backdoor, 9-7 on 8-6 deuce, rainbow board, one diamond, right? This other guy tanks and tanks and tanks, and he finally calls. So pot's like massive. I don't know what, 50K, 100K, whatever. Now this suit comes over to the table. Like I said, this is after about a week of this shit going on. He walks over to the table, and he's like, what do you guys... so they agree to run it twice, right? Chris is like to Matt, like, you want to run it twice? You know, want to run it more than once? Matt's like, sure. Now this gray-haired guy in this suit comes walking over to the table in the middle of this. He's like, what are you guys doing? You're not allowed to run it. You're not allowed to run it more than once. And Chris is like, what are you talking about? We've been doing this like the whole week. Like, you know, it's like, you can't do that here. You're not allowed to run it more than once. And I can guarantee you, especially from what I remember after the fact, the suit guy at Foxwoods thought that like the players were he thought that the players were cheating. He had absolutely no idea what they were talking about. Like he thought that something was going on, like insurance, no idea. This was in like the end of 2006, right? No clue. This was like the poker manager, right? So and he was steadfast. He was like, you can't run it more than once. And Chris was like down like a shit ton of money in a session. And he's like, I've been running it for like the whole week, more than once. Let us run the game. This guy's like, no, that's against the rules. You can't do it. So, what were they going to do? They just can run. So it's 8-6 deuce, right? I remember it too. Turns a diamond, like a low diamond, right? River's a diamond. And 9-7 wins with a backdoor flush. And Chris was like, thanks a lot, asshole. I remember it like it was yesterday to the floor guy. Yeah. And I just, yeah. I mean, not only what I did, I mean, I didn't think it was funny that he lost, but I just thought it was hilarious. The situation, the cherry on the top of that whole situation is that the poker manager thought that like the players were trying to cheat the game by like running it more than once. So like I said, I'll get Chris's last name and I'll get, maybe one of those guys can come in and comment on it.